What's up, guys? I really can't believe that everybody missed this, and I'm just now hearing about this. This happened February 2nd, I believe. But there's two things that I keep up with these days in regards to whether or not it's time to run for the hills. One is the financial market, the debt market. You see a implosion in the debt market. Well, buckle up. The other is strange signs in the sky, if that rings a bell, with special attention on the sun. But I can't believe nobody picked up on this story. This thing's pretty cool. I got video of it we'll get to in a second. But for the first time in 3 years, I actually have quite a few new subscribers here. Welcome, guys. There's a few things you should understand about this place that we're living. It has a dark side. There are a lot of theories on why this happens and what to call it, and some people are really adamant that they're right and everybody else is wrong. All I know is there's evidence all around the world of cultures getting absolutely annihilated and disappearing. And I'd say the prevailing theory on the big events is a toss up between magnetic reversal, comet strike, plasma event. Plasma being ejected from the sun and going all scorched earth on us. Then there are the less devastating events, which I generally call grand solar minimum, that causes catastrophic change here and has been proven to increase seismicity and volcanism, which may attribute to the dramatic weather changes like the little ice age in the 14 to 17 1800s. But another thing that is for sure in my mind is that our ancestors witnessed something that they found it important enough to draw on rocks, carve in rocks. All these petroglyphs all around the world all show the same images. And this is because they were witnessing aerial phenomena up in the sky. And that's why you have the exact same petroglyphs everywhere around the world. And it just so happens a spiral is a very common one. So were they trying to warn us of something, or is this just a common doodle? Sorry, I said February 2nd earlier. Maybe that was the solar phenomena that I was thinking of. But January 31st, this was filmed over Hawaii, and they're attributing this to a SpaceX launch, which I guess it could have been, but I'll show why I have problems with that. You can see the clock in the bottom right, and this whole thing took about 40 minutes. And, this may have been SpaceX. Like I said, I'll show the problems that I have with that. But it does have some things in common with at least what they say are SpaceX launches. But one of the big differences is how long this took. This is sped up big time, and this took over 40 minutes start to finish. You can tell that the spiral part is emanating out from a central point. There's something going on there. Here we are zoomed in, get a little better view of it. This outburst right here does make me think of SpaceX. I'm not trying to grift anybody with this. At the very least, this brings up a very interesting subject of ancient accounts that I'm about to read to everybody. So stick around because I'll give you some interesting stuff in this video. But the first problem with this being SpaceX is they launched from Kennedy Space Center in Florida at 6:11 p.m. Florida is 5 hours ahead of Hawaii, so if they launched at 6 p.m., that would be 1 p.m. Hawaiian time, 1 in the afternoon. So this was obviously filmed at night, so it was at least 6 hours till it got dark. The timestamp says 4:20, so it has to be AM because it's sunlight at 4:20 p.m. So how did this thing get from Florida in the daytime over here to Hawaii in the nighttime? Flat Earthers, same question. Now, I also noticed that before the Whirlpool spiral arms appear, there's no trail back behind this thing at all. Now let's look at the SpaceX launch from a couple years ago that freaked everybody out because they looked up into the sky and saw this big, huge thing. Now, a very big problem I have with all of this is, hasn't NASA been sending rockets into space for the last 60 years? Well, why is it now that we see this when we've never seen it before? Now we've got noctulescent clouds up in the sky from a launch. Seems like rockets going into space would pretty well all look the same, but I'll just leave that there. You guys can come to your own conclusions on why that is. Okay, the first obvious thing that you notice is that there is a big, huge tail, but there was no tail at all on the Hawaii spiral. But the pulsations that it's giving off does look similar to the Hawaii object. The other thing about this is that this launch that we're looking at right now, this is in real time. This isn't sped up. This is all happening as we see it. The other one took 40 minutes for all of that to take place. You can't argue that it was higher up because, well, the speed of light is still going to bounce off and come to your eyes at the same rate of speed. So, like I said, could have been a SpaceX launch. You guys make up your own mind, but one looks like this and the other one looks like this. There's some very noticeable differences here. Interestingly enough, I stumbled across this video that has all of 8 views. Same day, January 31st, all it says is Alton. He does speak with an English accent, but he's filming what he described as a green ball. That's not just lens flare making it green. Here, listen in for a second.
Hey, can you see the green lights in the sky here? Is that the green light?
So he was filming some strange green light in the sky. This was also spotted over... It used to be called Anatolia. What do you eat for Thanksgiving dinner? You know, the big event that happened there this week. This was spotted in the sky just before that. I'm not going to say the word. Another thing I'm not going to say is the stringed instrument that angels play. I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about. You know, all over Twitter, everybody's blaming it on that. And I'm not saying definitively that it wasn't that. But I know that there is a long history of aerial phenomenon associated with catastrophic events. I saw at least 50 retweets of a post talking about the lightning that occurred during this and saying that this is very uncommon during a shaking, when the opposite is true. I've done videos about the 1812 New Madrid shaker where there were reports of not only regular lightning but also ball lightning, a strange phenomenon. This is due to, I presume, a piezoelectric discharge. If you take quartz rock and bang it with a hammer, it'll create little sparks. So you've got all this quartz in the ground that's grinding on each other under incredible pressures, and it causes lightning. Here's an example from, I think, 3rd century AD. And this, I think that there is a big cover-up of, because I think the Mediterranean got completely wiped out for what they say around 300 AD. I'm not getting into the dating, but they say... A horrible phenomena suddenly spread through the entire extent of the world, such as are related to us neither in fable nor in truthful history. Never even heard of anything close to this. For a little after daybreak, preceded by heavy and repeated thunder and lightning, the whole of the firm and solid earth was shaken and trembled. There's a long history of these being correlated with each other. And for someone to say that it's uncommon to have lightning during one of these shakes doesn't even make any sense. What if it's in the middle of a thunderstorm? Honestly, the internet as a whole is about as superstitious as a medieval peasant that burn witches when it ain't even cold outside. Anyway, back to the spirals on petroglyphs. This is what got my attention on all this anyway. This one, look closely at it. This one actually has a striking resemblance to what we're seeing right here. Now let's read some of the ancient accounts from this book. That is the title of the book right there. If anyone wants to look it up, I only have it in PDF and I can't put it in the description. But if you start typing in a general chronological history of blah, 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 it'll come up. And speaking of chronology, I have done a video on this about how some of these events may have all been the same event and they just spread it out over years and years, because you'll have one event right next door to the other that was 50 years apart, when it makes perfectly sense that it shook over here and the wave hit here. But one thing's for certain, the whole purpose of this book, written in the 1700s, is to show that these strange phenomena are interrelated with catastrophic events. Check out this description. On the calends of June, 6 o'clock at night, appeared a great white circle in the middle of the firmament, and another circle like a rainbow cut the middle of the great circle, and the semicircle was opposite to the sun northward. The white circle disappeared about 9 o'clock, so it was up there for 3 hours. And the rainbow-like semicircle became an entire great circle, and the sun shining in the middle. At the same time, the moon was seen westward with her horns hung towards the earth. The next day was a great circle like a rainbow, and the sun in the middle about 6 o'clock, but continued a short time. Swarms of palmer worms ate up all the fruits in Scotland, and animals do behave weirdly during these events, by the way. So great floods from the sea and Tay forth as destroyed many villages, people, and cattle. So make what you want of that, but the circle inside a circle definitely made me think of this. And right after this strange phenomena, the sea wiped out many villages, people, and cattle. 6 years later, according to these dates, on St. Nicholas Eve was a great shake, thunder and lightning, the appearance of a burning drake, a blazing star, which struck all with terror. Great thunder, lightning, and rain. In Wales, it rained blood. Now, I'm still trying to figure that out scientifically because there are a lot of reports of that happening. Here's a weird one for you. In many parts of England appeared a thing in the likeness of fire, sometimes in one shape, sometimes in another, but in sundry random places, and at the same time every night all November and December. When anybody was alone, it would go with them. If several were together, it would go at a distance. To some, it was like a wheel turning all in a flame. To others, it was like a barrel throwing out flashes of fire at the top. To others, like a long burning lance, appearing to all in different forms. It stood when they stood and went when they went. It's poltergeist plasma. There, mystery solved. Then 4 months later was seen a fiery dragon in many parts of England. I just thought that was kind of interesting. But when the big events start occurring, there are aerial phenomena related to those. This dates all the way back to the ancient Greeks and all the times in between. And what I'm showing you on the screen here, they've got dated from 1000 to 1350 AD. They also date Anza Borrego petroglyphs to the 1300s. And this was the 700 year ago worldwide catastrophe that I talked about so much. And I'll try to do a video soon to kind of consolidate all of the information because I've learned all this over the last few years. But I've been out to these petroglyphs in Anza Borrego Desert, Southern California. It's unmistakable that what they're portraying was something happening in the sky. I don't think these are just senseless doodles, but they've got three suns here. And then over on the other side of the cave is where they've got the really weird stuff, the three-fingered, three-toed monsters. And the reason they're saying the elusive Carrizo Gorge is because there's Petrograph Trail over to the, say for the public, petrographs that they got. This one, they didn't make a road out to for the tourists. You have to park, get out, go hike, and then I walked past it 2 or 3 times before I found it. It's the Cave of the Three Suns and the Googly Monsters. This could be aliens getting out of their spaceship, or it could be what is known worldwide as Squatter Man. And plasma scientists have shown and created this in the lab to where it forms kind of a bell facing up and down. But if you were to draw this out 2-dimensionally, then it's the stick figure Squatter Man, lizard. We'll have to talk about electric universe and cosmic thunderbolts, you know, Zeus's lightning bolts and all that soon too. And I've got some new information on my theory of a comet and what happens, because I don't think comets actually contact the Earth. I think the electrical discharge, like the Chelyabinsk, if I'm saying that right, event where it exploded up in the sky, the Tunguska event as well. But one thing at a time. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Stay